Hello everyone, this is Greg Alexander and welcome to the SBI podcast. I'm very excited about this show that you're about to watch and listen to. One of the hottest and most consistently requested topics for this audience is the subject of selling through partners. I sought out the top expert on selling through partners to share emerging best practices. To do this, I looked to business-to-consumer companies with a heavy partner mix in their sales motion. The reason being is that business-to-consumer companies almost always lead B2B industries in the adoption of new emerging best practices, sometimes by several years. Believe it or not, there is a new title out there for partner executives, and that is the PRO. This stands for Partner Revenue Officer. I have the Partner Revenue Officer from LifeLock joining us to share with you, the audience of B2B marketing and sales leaders, the emerging best practices from the world of B2B to C, and specifically teach you how to sell more through B2B partner selling. So stick around for the show. This is a fantastic show. This is truly an expert, and I think you're going to get a lot out of it.
Welcome to the SBI podcast, offering CEOs, sales and marketing leaders ideas to make the number.
Welcome to the SBI podcast, a weekly broadcast dedicated to helping you make your number by getting your peers to share with you how they are making theirs. Today we're going to demonstrate how to cover the market completely with direct and indirect sales channels. So why this topic? Selling to customers directly when they want to buy from partners is a surefire way to miss the revenue goal. Selling to customers through partners when they want a direct relationship with your company is equally devastating. And within the direct and indirect channel model, there are multiple sub-models to consider. Coverage model decisions have never been this complicated, for we live in the omni-channel era. My name is Greg Alexander, CEO of SBI, and I'm your host today. And helping me with our demonstration is an executive who knows a lot about this topic. His name is Finn Faldi, and he's the Senior Vice President and Partner Revenue Officer for LifeLock. So Finn, welcome to the show, and please introduce yourself to the audience.
Thanks, Greg. My name is Finn Faldi. I'm the Partner Revenue Officer and Senior Vice President for LifeLock. As of a few months ago, LifeLock, formerly a public company, was acquired by the Symantec Corporation. Symantec is the leading company in cybersecurity around the world, and LifeLock now is part of the Symantec Consumer Business Unit, along with the leading device protection company in the world, Norton. LifeLock's mission has been to inform, educate, and inspire people to help themselves based on the growing threats of identity threats to themselves, to their families, to their loved ones, to their friends. And we are super excited about the growth of LifeLock, the team that LifeLock has, the partners LifeLock has, and the growing opportunity LifeLock has to educate, inspire, and help people help themselves around the world.
So this problem of identity theft, I mean, this is a real deal.
It is really an incredible thing. It is exciting in a really surreal way. It's exciting when I think of myself as having a 77-year-old mom and a 7-year-old son, and knowing that both of them are not fully educated to the threats that are against them, but knowing that there are ways to help educate them and help them to help themselves. And we do that through many partners and through our direct team as well, through education and branding.
Yeah. Now, before LifeLock, you've had a long, successful career, senior executive for some leading companies, specifically in the area of this topic today, which is selling through partners. So share with the audience a little bit about your background.
So I ran sales for the third largest ISP, and that was in the mid and late 90s. And that was one of when everybody was dialing to get on. We all remember the little voice, the little noise you'd hear. But the point is that it was a new thing. So capturing eyeballs yourself would be disincentivizing your partners to catch our eyeballs. So how do you make that possible through your partners? And then I ran the partnership group for Yahoo, which was a significant part of the revenue. And we had great partners around the world. some of the leading telcos around the world, some of the leading travel companies, some of the leading affinity groups, in every vertical where somebody has spent hundreds of millions or billions of dollars building up their customer base. Our focus has always been, and it is today at LifeLock, is our focus is to help drive the attachment for those partners with their customers. We ask certain questions all the time. Are you focusing on new customer acquisition? Are you focusing on retention? Churn and attrition are really big factors in a company's business. Are you focusing on driving ARPU? Are you focusing on giving yourself a difference in your value of your offering versus your peers in the space? And our job from a partner channel, our job is to solidify that, reinforce and deepen their attachment to their customers with a value add proposition. And you mentioned the direct channel. The direct channel is, I'm very lucky to work with the best CMO in the market. And he and his team, we are very complementary to one another. And with the brand they build, we have the opportunity to reach customers, users, members as we call them, that wouldn't necessarily go to our website to buy the product. But the fact is that they have trusted brands that they associate themselves with, and we can be an offering through those trusted brands.
Okay, very good. So a couple decades doing this with some of the leading companies, and in many cases, in the pioneering.
We don't need to highlight decades.
In many cases, the pioneering area, so when we were first getting on the internet. All right, so when you think about the channels, like which channels should you use? And maybe think about your entire experience on this area of sales channels and partner channels. And for the benefit of our audience, if I'm a partner leader, you have a title I've never heard before, Partner Revenue Officer, but I understand it's a growing title, so again, pioneering. How would you advise people to choose channels? Should I do channel A, channel B, channel C? Like, how do I even think about defining which partners are right for me?
So what we have done is we look at the partners in certain verticals that we have, and they have an attachment where there's a connective tissue to the product we're using. And there's a route to market that seems ideal. So we look at co-marketing, we look at embedded, we look at channels that it's part of a packaged offering for them. Okay,
so slow down. So some of my audience members might not be as familiar with these terms. So define co-marketing.
Co-marketing is, we work with most travel companies, affinity companies. And for them, the idea is that they're premium members, they're customers. They look at one of the values they bring, not just their core offering. But the fact is that fly a lot, and I'm dedicated to a couple airlines. And I am very fortunate that they will offer tremendous opportunities to me to get products that I might not be fully educated in. I may have heard about them, but the fact is I'll pay attention and listen to them.
Okay, very good. So when I'm on an airline, an example of co-marketing, I'm on an airline, the airline attendant gets on the phone and starts telling me about the new Visa card, right? That's co-marketing?
That is co-marketing. We haven't done that.
Yeah,
but
please don't.
But in a situation, you might get from an auto club you belong to. Or you might get through, if you're a military veteran, you might get through something you belong to. And you might get an offering from them where they've created a package with us that gives them the opportunity to have something that helps themselves in the identity threats.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. And embedded marketing, what is that?
So embedded marketing is we work with some telcos, some utility companies, where they already have a bill with a customer. And they're offering other things. They might offer something that is good for the family from home protection services. They might offer something that has something about in their house, some sort of technology in their house. But they can also embed on the bill something like LifeLock.
Okay, got it.
And now they can, embed something like Norton. So the ability to have a complementary product that someone can easily understand, check the box, and then they're done.
Yeah, got it. Okay. So embedded, literally like what the word means. It's
Embedded on your bill.
Okay, got it. Very good. All right, let me get to the economic models that need to be used for each sales channel. So in signing up a partner or maybe expanding a relationship with a partner, it always comes down to, is there enough money to go around for this to be worth it to everybody? So how would you advise my audience in thinking through kind of the economics between vendor and partner?
It's the number one question we discuss when we're modeling out partners versus direct spend. Your direct-to-consumer spend is always going to be a high-cost endeavor. Mm-hmm. If you think about your costs of TV ads, radio ads, digital, maybe print, direct mail. Expensive, but necessary, because you're creating signals in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. You're creating an attachment to the consumer that they're seeing in different parts of their day and different parts of their week. In the partner model, those companies already have their customer files. And these customer files are their customer files. They're not our customer files. And we like to be very stern about that, is that we're here to enhance their attachment to their customer. Now, there's different economic models. You can have bounties, you can have revenue shares, you can have buy rates where they can, sell it for a different price. But the point is generally the ARPU will be less in the partner channel, but the cost of acquisition is the delta in the ARPU versus the cost. Whereas in the direct-to-consumer channel, generally you pay a higher cost of acquisition, but your ARPU is higher. Yeah. So they become complementary. They shouldn't be competitive. They should be very complementary. And I'll give you an example. So last fall, you had the elections and TV prices. And then you have December. So digital ads go up very much. Every e-commerce company in the world, every political company, they're buying every outlet there is. The partner channel, that's some place where we have to be complementary then and help. Yeah. Because the price to reach your customers goes up and to the right. Yeah. That'll settle down, and there'll be other times where the direct-to-consumer side will be very complementary to the partner side.
Yeah. It's a great concept. One of the things we talk to our clients about is how a sales team and a marketing team can create enterprise value for a company. And the way that you do that is you improve the capital efficiency of the sales and marketing team. And we measure that as a benchmarking firm, the ratio between customer acquisition cost to customer lifetime value. So I spend $1, do I make $2, $3, $4, do I make 50 cents? And what is that dynamic? So in your scenario, this works, and your two businesses are so complementary because your cost to acquire in the partner model is going to be less, I'm assuming, right? Because you don't have this big expensive media buy. But you are giving up some of the revenue so that the partner can be a partner and profit from this as well. But it comes into line because the cost of acquisition is less as well. So you're still creating enterprise value for the company.
You're absolutely right. And you have to balance to make sure that your partner is fed and gets very full.
Yeah.
Really, we align ourselves with the most trusted brands. Partners for us is not sort of yes when you pick up the phone. It's who and why, and are they good at partnering? Do they switch all the time? We look for long-lasting relationships. Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure that they're making enough, because really highly trusted brands, they have their choices too. Yeah. And if you try to nickel and dime a partner, they're going to switch. Yeah. And they want the best for their customers, but they're also running a business too.
Yeah. All right, when you talk about segmentation here, so do you point partner relationships at a certain segment of the market and then the direct relationships at another segment? The reason why I'm asking this question is sometimes when I talk to my clients about partners, they're worried about channel conflict, and they try to draw a line between those two. So what advice would you give my listening audience as to how to manage through channel conflict?
So, and I'm going to go from our experience.
Okay.
It's very easy to say. Attribution is an imperfect science.
Yeah.
And attribution, in my experience, and my instinct, is going to be an imperfect science for years to come. Mm-hmm. We have an incredible analytics team. And what we get better at, but it's a journey, not a destination. We get better at understanding where the attribution comes from. And I'll give you an example. Someone gets a letter sent to them in the mail from their airline. They see it. Great, that's an offer. But I'm busy right now, I can't do it. Radio show, they hear it on the radio. Now, the next day, they get something, they see digital something on an email because they clicked over and tried it. Now they went, the next week, their car company or their travel, insurance provider sends them something. What if they buy it through that partner? The signals contributed to that. The signals contributed to that. So the signals we have to work on getting better at to understanding it. Well, we have an incredible culture where we are, so there's very little, if any, sort of argumentation over where the credit is, because ultimately for the company is getting the new member on board is the most important thing, and what is the lifetime value of that person. So if they call in through an 800 number and don't use the promo code that they had from one direct mail, but they used it when they heard it on the radio, yeah, you could argue that the salesperson for that partner might not get credit, but our analytics team is really good of kind of sharing in the results. And we're getting better at it. Because take direct mail, for example. Direct mail can be very costly. And if you don't attribute right, your CPA on direct mail can make you throw up. But if you didn't do the direct mail that time, would all the other ways that you got members, would they have been as high?
Yeah, very good. All right, it's a good time for a break. So we're going to take a quick break from the interview to invite you, audience members, to participate in a remarkable experience. I'd like to personally invite you to the studio, a multi-million-dollar, one-of-a-kind, state-of-the-art executive briefing center located in Dallas, Texas. It was developed by SBI specifically for executive teams inside of companies with aggressive revenue growth goals, who don't have a lot of time to waste and have a lot on the line. To grow revenues faster than your industry and competitors every month, quarter, and year, that's a pretty hard thing to do. A visit to the studio increases the probability of making your number because the sessions are built on the proven strength and stability of people like Finn, leaders in the B2B sales and marketing space. So if this is something that you're interested in, visit our website, salesbenchmarkindex.com/the studio to book your visit. Okay, this is the SBI podcast. We'll be back in a second.
Meet Chuck. He's the head of sales for a business services company. He stays on top of sales and marketing trends by listening to SBI podcasts on his morning commute.
The plan is to understand what your revenue target is.
Except on Tuesdays. That's when he jams out to 80s New Wave. On Wednesday, it's SBI all morning long, with more emerging best practices from the business world.
I'd say the biggest thing you need to avoid is leading without support.
Until Thursday. That's 90s Grunge Day. On Friday, it's back to business. That's when Chuck ends the week on a high note with more hits from SBI.
Sales is really straightforward. You make your number, you don't make your number.
Rock on, Chuck. How do you SBI? Get the most out of your SBI experience. Manage your account at howdoyousbi.com.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the SBI podcast. I'm your host, Greg Alexander, and today's guest is Finn Faldi, the Partner Revenue Officer for LifeLock. Today, we're demonstrating how to cover the market completely with direct and indirect channels. We're going to jump back into our questions. So let me set this question up a little bit for you. So what we've learned about this subject from our clients is there's different types of coverage models. And for the benefits of teaching the audience, I'm going to give you 3 and allow me to kind of force my method on you here, and then have you react to these 3 and maybe suggest others if you can think of them. So the first one is what we call intensive. And this is defined as many channel partners in the same space competing for the business. So just blanket the market with as many channel partners as possible and let them all duke it out for the business. Okay, that's called intensive. And there's pros and cons to that, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Then we've got selective, which is what it says is that you're going to select only a certain amount of partners that meet a certain criteria that's important to you and maybe important to them. That's selective. And then you've got exclusive, which is you're going to go to market with one partner. So maybe you pick a geographic region and you say, Mr. Partner, you and I are going to be partners together here exclusively, or if it's a vertical industry, or maybe there's a product or what have you, but it's exclusivity, okay? And I'm not saying that one of these is better than the other. I'm saying that it's important to pick from these, or maybe some others, and have a coverage model. What I have found is that when you try to do a blend of these things, it can get really confusing really fast. So let's have a conversation around pros and cons of these. So let's start with the first one, which is intensive. So think of Cisco Systems. You know, they signed up thousands and thousands and thousands of channel partners, and that worked for them for a long time period. But now what I hear from those channel partners is that everybody's chasing a small number of deals. It's difficult to compete, and they've got a lot of maybe, I wouldn't say disgruntled partners, but it's not what it used to be, just because there's so many of them. So, but the plus of that is, as the provider, is you get a lot of coverage quickly, and you're probably going to drive revenue up. So what's your opinion of the intensive model?
So the intensive model is, you know, it's not our model, because to me, it's, you want to pick, there isn't thousands of trusted brands in any one vertical. If you consider yourself a leading trusted brand, the best association you can have is associating yourself with another leading and trusted brand. We also go through the criteria. Are they a company that's good at partnering? Have they had partners for a long time?
How do you know, though? If you're looking from the outside in, how can you tell?
It's a dating process. Partnership's not, if a partnership's signed on the first afternoon, it can last for a long time. Generally, it's not.
It's called a one-night stand.
Yes, it's called a one-night stand. There should be a vetting process of each other. What are the resources you put into it? You know, where do you sit in the level of importance every day when people get up? Is there an urgency to making it right? Is there an urgency to growing it? Because both companies have limited resources. No company has unlimited resources that I know of. And so when we do that, it's much easier to gain scale over a longer period of time than it is to be an EKG spike. And so if someone said to me there's thousands of partners, I could say in the small business space, the SMB space, that probably can work. But in the space where we're looking at, we'd rather be very selective and go, we don't want to have just one, because then you know, if it doesn't work, you're in a bad spot. You need to create some leverage for yourself. You need to create some jealousy factor. But you also need to make sure you're going only with enough that you can make high value with each of those. And because you know, the question I always ask the top exec at one of our partners when I meet him or her for dinner or drink or something like that, is I said, are you making enough? Because if they're not making enough, they're going to start looking elsewhere.
But aren't they always going to say, no, I'm not making enough, I want to make more?
I've been fortunate to work with a number of companies where they're pretty honest with you, and that's building the relationships over years. Now, ones that always say that, then you kind of get the feeling that, okay, this isn't going to be for the long run, because they're always going to keep on asking for more. A really good partner wants to make sure you're making enough to keep investing in the partnership, investing in the products to give us more.
Got it.
But the partners that are just looking for the quick win and then they're out to the next one, probably shouldn't be working with them anyways.
So the thing that you mentioned here that got me, so I was asking the question how you think through this, and you said that you guys are building a trusted brand, and you clearly are, a leading trusted brand, and therefore you want to partner with other leading trusted brands, because it's kind of a brand rub-off, if you will. You know, you're rubbing positively on them, they're rubbing positively on you. 1 + 1 could equal 3 kind of situation. So that's an interesting distinction that I don't think our clients think of that enough. They tend to go to numbers. If I sign up this partner, I'm going to generate this much ARPU, as an example. They don't think about the impact that it's having on the brand. So I get why you're not doing intensive. Makes perfect sense to me. I understand why selective, because you've told me about wanting to partner with leading trusted brands, and there's only so many of those in each industry vertical. Why not exclusive? So
I think that is exclusive would have to be based on the channel. and it'd have to be based on, are there 3 players in the channel that, then you're not really going to be selective. Intensive is all 3, selective would be 2,
Exclusive would be 1, yeah.
1. If you think about certain channels, if let's say there's 100 hotel brands. Let's say there's 10 that have, 5-star, ratings in terms of treating their customers. Doesn't mean price, but treating their customers well, treating them as members. And that's something we look at. So when we look at trust, and you are selling your products through a trusted brand to their customers, we focus on, we're going to treat them just like we would our direct members, the people that are subscribing and trusting in us to help with our product with them. And we focus on saying, no matter how high your level of customer care is, we will always meet that, because that's our number one focus. And our team out there in the field meeting with partners is, we focus on a triangle. The triangle being the brand, leading brand. The product, it's table stakes. You have to have the leading product. And how you're going to service their customers can't be less than the best. And when you have that triangle, it's really about, how do we fulfill that to their customers? It's not really a sell at that point, it's an education process.
So in that scenario, can I get by with 2 out of the 3? So if I have a great product and great service, but a crappy brand, is that good enough? Or do I have to have all 3?
I'd leave that to the customer decision.
You would, yeah.
I mean, I'm fortunate that, like I said, we've got an incredible marketing team that's built the leading brand, trusted brand.
Unbelievable brand.
We have a gentleman that runs our what we call member services. It's second to none. And we've got a product lead that I've been fortunate to work with him for 10 years. There's not a better one in the world.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. All right, this is time for another break, so let's go ahead and do that. Would you like to implement some of the things Finn has spoken to you about today? Knowing you, audience, I can guarantee you that's true. If so, I think we might be able to help you. Consider having one of our experts spend some time with you in a workshop. To get a feel for what's covered in the workshop, go to sbi.tips/2017 workbook and download a copy of the workbook that we use in these workshops. Okay, we got one more segment with Finn after the break. We'll be right back.
Meet Tom. He's the CEO of a leading medical device company, and this is his business partner, the latest SBI workbook. Every day, Tom uses the workbook to guide his sales and marketing vision. The yellow sticky? That's his corporate strategy. The pink sticky? His product roadmap. The dog-eared section? That's where Tom's mapped out next year's growth plan. The stain on the cover? That's from the champagne he popped open when they made their Q4 number.
That was a good day, wasn't it, Mr. Workbook?
How do you SBI? Take it to the next level with the SBI Workbook. Order your copy today at howdoyousbi.com.
Welcome back, everybody. This is our last segment with Finn, demonstrating how to cover the market completely with both direct and indirect sales channels. We're going to jump back into the questions. So, Finn, my next question is regarding reach. So, oftentimes, our clients, our listeners, the motivation for signing up partners is to reach into markets that they can't get to on their own. Is that wise? Is that not wise? Do some of the things you shared with us in segment 2 regarding being really selective on who you partner with, trusted brands, etc., does that trump reach, or is reach part of the equation?
Reach has to be part of the equation because ultimately you need to scale your business. You know, growth is an incredible factor, not just in ARPU, but in the number of people using your products. And so reach is very important to us, and that's why we're look at the channels and how we're going to reach people. It's, you know, how are you going to create sun in those under those shady trees, you know, way away from the park. And that's where it's very complementary with your marketing team. They're going to give you scale. They're going to create blue skies across with your name and brand and everything. But to reach the actual people that aren't going to take that signal and take an action, that's where your partners come in. It is, and it goes back to the complementary expense. ARPU versus expense, to reach all those people. And so we're just super excited every day that we have a team that's creating the brand and they're creating the noise, and the noise is a message, and that we can then go with our partners and they've heard the message. The best thing is when you work with a partner and for our employee benefits team, when you work with a partner and their HR head or their benefit consultant receives something from another partner of ours, or they saw something on the news about breaches or identity, and they're like, wow, this is great. Now we get to educate them. And they get excited about bringing it to their employees or to their customers. That's where it really gets exciting. Because if you make it exciting for them and you make it accretive for them, we know the TAM is growing. So I think it'd be the best problem ever to have if all of a sudden the TAM has exploded, but everybody's crossing over. We're not at that point yet.
Interesting. Okay, so I mean, I agree with you. Reach is essential. In fact, when we get asked by our clients to think about a go-to-market model and a coverage model, we're always saying, okay, you know, the analogy I like to use is we got to put the boat over the fish, right? So where are the fish biting? And can we put our boat, which is our company or our product, our solution, whatever, directly over the fish? And then can we put bait on the line, a product, in the water where they're going to bite? And sometimes, you know, fish are biting, but they're halfway across the world, right? So you can't get there yourselves. It's impossible to move the boat that far. So finding somebody who already has a boat on that lake and partnering with them is just an essential thing. So it's up to the leaders, yourself, your peers in marketing, your CEO, et cetera, to really be thinking about how do we expand reach, what markets represent great opportunities for us. And I think for you audience members, it's something to constantly be thinking about. My next question is related to speed. Okay, so, you know, we're living in a very fast and accelerating world, and when you do well, you get on what I call the expectations treadmill, right? So you're running on the treadmill, maybe you're at 1 degree, then you go to 2 degree, 3 degree, maybe you're running at 5.0, then you go to 6.0 and 7.0, and you constantly have to keep pace and stay on this expectations treadmill, because you do good, expectations go up. If you don't, you know, you stub your toe, you face plant on the treadmill, and it's, you know, it's not good. So partner selection, in my opinion at least, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, is due in part to speed. In other words, I partner with somebody and I accelerate my position in that market. So do you consider speed when you're thinking about choosing partners? Is fast better than slow? Is it, you know, is it steady? What's your thoughts on speed?
So it's a balance, and I know that's an easy answer to say, but I'm personally a big fan of the tortoise wins the race. If you vet something early on, you can go through some decisioning. However, a mentor told me years ago, for any decision, the second best decision today is much better than the best decision 6 months from now. And so you can't overthink things. And believe me, I've been the cause and the recipient of things being overthought. But when you're looking at partners, you should learn from history and be able to vet pretty quickly, is this somebody that we want to get into bed with? And they should know that about you as well. And if there's overspeed on one side and no speed on the other, that should be a glaring factor that, this might not be right. But thinking that every partner can be stepped on the accelerator and gone really fast, that's like EBOs, it's Easter bunnies and unicorns. It's something that you have to be pragmatic and have a self-awareness test. And we do that. We don't do it perfectly. I don't do it perfectly at all. But the self-awareness test is based on past failures and past successes.
Okay, I'm with you. I mean, the tortoise wins the race, I agree. Our firm, we have a value here. We have 10 values that we behave or we live by. First one is the long game, which is thinking decades. You know, sometimes we can suffer from, you know, urgency. And then, you know, a week from now, you'll forget what you're even urgent about. So taking the long game on it is pretty important. But it can, you know, you can accelerate your presence in a market by selecting the right partners, and I guess that's the point of that question. Okay, last question, which is probably the most difficult one, and it might be the one that I get asked the most on this subject of selling through partners. And that is, I sign up this great partner, and we're thrilled about the relationship, major coup, okay? Then there's a dip. There's like all this excitement on inking the agreement. But then at that point, the hard work starts, right? We have to onboard this new partner, help them be successful, etc. So how do you onboard new partners?
It's marriage. It's excitement. It's a honeymoon. It's some form of, marriage. And then, wow, I've got 30 years ahead of me. And it's work.
Yeah.
And it's being aware of what the expectations are after, the Red Bull is worn off. And being able to understand that there's gonna be hiccups in awareness. And I've never seen anyone go perfectly, but that's you probably get into a point of collaboration and collegiality where if it's not going perfect, that kind of helps sometimes because everybody has to dig in. Because we all have managers, and generally, managers of mine, mentors of mine, they haven't all been patient. And so, but it's managing what the outcome, the desired outcome to the right of the equal sign, and that the algebra to the left can sometimes be wrong. And so it's really managing how you deal with that algebra to the left. And understanding going into it, there will be an issue. And that's what we've gotten better at, is we sign something. We go through the legal work, and then we say the onboarding, and then we say we're gonna launch here and we're gonna start seeing revenue on this day. It's kind of like, well, if that's 2 months out, let's make it 3 months out. Someone says, why? That doesn't help with the modeling. Well, if it's not, let it be a surprise to the upside.
Yeah.
But there's gonna be something, and it could be something out of total control. Someone gets sick, someone leaves for another opportunity, key member of the team does something, they have to move to another job. There's another fire that happens in another part of the business. So a lot of those things are out of your control, but you've got to build that in.
And do you have like a methodology that says we sign a partner and I deploy this team and they go through these 10 steps? Is it that formulaic, or is each partnership unique and different in its own right?
Well, we have a number that will start, throughout the year. And we kind of target a date, and that's to the right of the equal sign. You work yourself backwards.
Okay.
But if you work yourself backwards and everything has tight dates on Fridays or Mondays,
not good.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It's not something's gonna pop up.
Yeah.
So I'd say it's when you work backwards from the target date, that's where you should add in the holiday weekends.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Well, listen, man. That is the end of our interview. You contributed a lot to our body of knowledge here today. I'm speaking on behalf of the audience that is nowhere as educated as you are on this particular topic. So it was a pleasure having you on the show, and thanks for coming on. It was
Thank
really
you very
great.
much.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
All right. All right, and I want to thank you, the SBI audience, for tuning in. In addition to this show being the most listened to show on the internet on this niche topic of B2B sales and marketing, guess what? It's now become the most watched show on the internet in this category as well. The reason for that, the in-studio, on-set guest appearances have really made a big difference. So thanks for watching, and keep tuning in. If you want to learn more about this topic or the other areas that we focus on, go to salesbenchmarkindex.com/register. This allows you to personalize your experience with our content. So for instance, you can choose the topics you're interested in and how often you want to learn about them. If you want to learn more about this topic or the other areas that we focus on, go to salesbenchmarkindex.com and go ahead and register. Okay, that's it for today. As always, I wish you the best of luck as you try and make your number.
This has been the SBI Podcast. For more information on SBI services, case studies, the SBI team and how we work, or to subscribe to our other offerings, please visit us at salesbenchmarkindex.com.